Welcome Homeworthy to Hillside Farm. My name is Ruth McKeaney and I'm so excited to have you here today. We're going to do something I've never done before, and that's a themed derby party. And I've got three friends, because I haven't done this before, that are going to walk us through a few things. The first friend is Leslie. She's going to show us how to do the most amazing tablescape for a party like this. Then Heather is coming and we're going to make some hot brown sandwiches, pimento cheese, and a banana cream dessert. And the final friend, who loves all things party and costumes, she also makes hats. She's going to show us how to properly wear a hat for something like this. Please join us. We are going to have a blast. I'm Ruth McKeaney, and this year I'm inviting Homeworthy to join my family for all of our annual highlights at Hillside Farm, our 305-year-old farmhouse steeped in history and love. After decades of flipping houses, my husband Bob and I settled here where we raised our 5 children. We welcome your company as we share in the simple pleasures of life at home. I'll offer tips from my book, Hungry for Home, to help infuse your own home with moments of joy, filling home-cooked meals with flavor for the whole family, and of course decorating with amazing antique finds. So sit back and make yourself at home.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Okay, we are in the ruins, which is one of my very favorite places to throw kind of an intimate either dinner or luncheon or brunch. And we're with one of my new wonderful friends, Leslie, who I'm excited to introduce you to. Leslie creates exquisite tablescape. I mean, anything actually in the garden. She actually, and many people have met Eileen, and Eileen and Leslie are good friends as well.
Absolutely.
So when I met Leslie, I said, okay, we are partnering up. You're going to teach me so much. And when I was thinking about this derby brunch or lunch, I said, you know what? I don't know how to do a centerpiece for something like this. And she said, got it. However, what happened when you got here today?
So when I got here today, we discovered that the table rod that I brought did not fit this lovely custom table
that Bob made
that
me.
Bruce's husband made. So what we did is we pivoted and decided to do a meadowscape. So originally we were going to have this whole big archway over the table, and I was going to make an entire mini Kentucky Derby. I brought sand, I brought grass, I brought roses, I did the whole thing, but that's all right. We pivoted.
I know, but I just even think about what that would be. That would be exquisite, but
Absolutely.
You pivoted so fast.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed. Tell us what you ended up doing, because I even had a white tablecloth. You're like, let's do away with the white tablecloth. What have we done? Tell us.
So what we did is, no matter what event you have, you will always have to make last minute changes.
Right.
It just happens. You can plan for years and you will, all of a sudden it will rain. You know, so you just have to be able to be flexible in your design. So I didn't have frogs. I didn't have any of the things that I would typically use.
And when you say frogs, for those of us who are novices, you mean the things that hold the flowers.
Things that hold the flowers. They're these little discs. They can be in a lot of different shapes, and they have a bunch of prongs that stick up.
Yeah, they look like nails.
They look like nails,
Okay.
or a weird comb.
Yes.
And
yes.
you take those, and then you stick the flowers in them. A lot of times you'll put a dish down and have a little water in it, and then put the frogs in. So I didn't have any of that, but what I did have was sod. So what we basically did is we took all these little areas within the table,
the planks
that are openings,
right,
and I started sticking roses in them. I wanted to do red roses because the Kentucky Derby is the race of the roses, and the winner always gets a beautiful blanket of red roses. I thought I'd go with the slightly Americana red, white, and blue, but somewhat off theme. And then we put sod down, which is literally here. I just
dug out.
I just dug out some grass from my house.
Okay, so you dug up grass.
I dug up grass. I put it down, and then I dug up some periwinkle, which has a great root structure that's very bound, so you can stick stuff in it and it will stand up straight. So I did have a few little water containers
Okay.
So what I did is I filled those up with some water, and then I stuck them into the root structures of the
periwinkle.
Periwinkle, so our anemones would last a little longer.
Okay.
Because we want this to last all afternoon and really be beautiful. The other thing that I brought that I added onto the table is mint.
Okay.
So I brought orange mint that you can use for your cocktails. Let's say you're having.
So I am doing an iced tea. So they could
Perfect.
actually take a little bit of the mint
They
and stick
can
it in
literally
there.
take it. It's
Okay.
orange mint. It's absolutely delicious. I love to use
Okay.
it in a bunch of my cocktails.
Okay.
I love to use it in baking.
One of the
cream.
wonderful things is Leslie knows what flowers are edible. So we had a whole conversation the other day about edible flowers.
Absolutely.
Are any of these edible?
Roses. Roses are absolutely edible and really delicious. So a lot of
Okay.
people don't know that. I have a rose garden
Wow.
at my house, which Ruth came and saw the other day.
It's exquisite. It's archways of roses everywhere. and-
Absolutely. So what I do in the summertime is I will actually make a egg white omelet with rose petals. So they're really high in vitamin C. They have a lot of antioxidants in them, and they have a lovely, slightly floral flavor. But they're just good for you.
Wow.
So every year I'll make some of that. A little bit of goat cheese, some fresh basil, a little bit of mint. It's really yummy.
Wow.
So the other thing I do with my roses is I feed them to my chickens. They're super good for your chickens. So
And do you do even the stems?
I don't do the stems,
Okay,
just
just
the
the
flowers.
roses.
So I'll make like a cute little nest for them, and then I'll put flowers in. They'll eat them, and it's really good for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's left? What are we getting ready to do to make the whole area ready?
So what we're gonna do next is we have just some, we have a few gaps that we're gonna stick flowers
Okay.
in. So feel free to take these down. What we're gonna do is, because it's windy, we can't go too tall with the
Okay,
flowers.
okay.
Also, you want to be able to see who
See each
you're.
other.
Yeah, you want to be able to see each other. So what we're gonna do is we still have to put some in here. So I just kind of look to see the shape, right? You don't want everything to be the same
Height.
height,
Okay.
because that doesn't make in a lot of interest. So we're gonna go in and kind of stick it in, and because we don't have a frog, we're just gonna kind of cut
Okay.
and feel around
Until it stands?
until it stands.
Okay.
And there we go.
Now, what do you have left that you're wanting to do in this area?
So I want to cover the base. So
Yeah.
something I always do, whether I'm doing a planter or a tablescape, is you don't want any dirt showing.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through and we're just going to take a bunch of leftover flowers. Luckily, we have a bunch of leftovers because we had to pivot on the idea we were going to do. And I'm just going to kind of tuck in around. And then something I always love to do when I'm hosting is make an entrance for my guests. So I want them to get excited about what they're about to see.
Okay, can I interrupt you for one second?
Yeah, of course.
She showed me a picture. She recently got married. She just had her first baby. And in fact, this is really the first time she's getting out, pretty much since
Absolutely.
having the baby. Her wedding dress she made, and it was a living dress. First of all, I want you to wrap your head around that. The most beautiful bodice in the entire skirt was plants.
It was plants, absolutely.
It was stunning. I mean, you showed me,
Thank
and then
you.
your husband had on a tux that was like floral, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So you two entered, and it was a showstopper. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. It was gorgeous. So
And the dress is still living on my property. Ruth got to come
I
see
did.
it.
She has it. It's all near her pond. It's actually, she's made it part of the
Absolutely.
landscape.
That way I can come visit it.
So she has archways all over her property, and she just loves to create entrance, and she loves drama. So
Yeah.
I think she's wanting to put rose petals leading out, because this is the
Absolutely.
race of the roses.
Yep.
And then she's going to we're coming off of a winter, so we have a lot of things that aren't living yet.
Yeah.
So she's wanting to give the area a little bit of life.
So we're going to take some of our extras and we're going to just start tucking them in. If you have an event, you don't have to necessarily plant things. This is beautiful. It's planted, but we have another one over here that's not.
Yes.
And we have leftovers, so we're just going to tuck in some cut flowers into
Okay.
that space
Okay.
to brighten it up for the brunch.
Love it.
Yeah.
Please tell everyone where you're from, what's your background, and how you got into this.
Absolutely. So I grew up in the area, and my mom is a florist and my father's a horticulturalist, so I really had no choice but to fall into this.
I think you're a music major, right?
I was a music major, so it's
okay.
very creative in general.
Right.
And I worked in a nursery to put myself through college, and I just kind of fell completely in love with it. I already kind of knew what I was doing, and I just got a little more into florals and basically anything having to do with the outdoor part of the home. I just wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
And in fact, you live on a farm. Your
I do.
parents are on the same farm.
They
and you're
are.
turning it into an arboretum.
We are. So we have been slowly collecting all different specimen plants, and we are working on our way towards becoming an arboretum. I'm also a master gardener, so I do local education on horticulture as well. So I just, anything I can get my hands on to get my hands dirty.
Well, there you go.
I'm
So
doing it.
she was so incredibly gracious when I contacted her. And I was like, the theme is the Kentucky Derby. And she's like, I got this. And I want to ask you this before you get busy, because I know you're wanting
Sure.
to finish. How would people find you?
Yeah, so feel free to find me on Instagram. My handle is Gingagirl, Gingagirl. If you wanted to reach out for a public service event, you can always find me that way too.
Yeah, she's absolutely incredible. All right, so I'm going to let you get going, because actually I've got to get to the house and start making some of the recipes.
Fun.
But I'll come down and check on you.
Sounds great.
All right.
I love you, friend. Thank you so
All
much for
right,
having me.
thank you. All right, we're back in the kitchen today, and I have Heather, who you may remember from a few weeks ago, my dearest friend, and I've looped her in to helping me do this meal that we're preparing for some friends. Like I said, we were going with a theme, and it was the Kentucky Derby, and so we thought it would be fun. Heather did a lot of research on some different recipes that are Kentucky Derby-ish or Southern, and so one of them is going to be the dessert, which is this amazing banana pudding that I've made a number of times. So I wanted to have her help me so we can go ahead and put this together. So she's going to go ahead and cut some bananas. Here's where you're going to start. Take one box, a large box of vanilla pudding. Add it just like that, the instant. Don't do the cook and serve. All right? 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. Just add that directly there. And to that, we're going to add 1.5 cups of water. Now, this will then go into the fridge and chill for about 4 to 5 hours, just to totally get ready. This is a rather large thing I'm sticking in a tiny can.
Slices too, okay?
No, those look perfect. It was fun coming up with the recipes. We actually had lunch the other day, and we were trying to get this planned. And I think it was fun because the idea for this came because of a conversation Heather and I had. Here is the 1.5 cups of water I'm adding to it.
Yeah, we've hosted some Kentucky Derby parties for fun. I mean, we're not Southern. My husband and I are not Southern.
You are not Southern.
We are not at all Southern. But we've been to Kentucky Derby parties. I one time had a baby shower themed a Kentucky Derby party. We have a good friend who loves horse racing, and so we typically do a little bit of fun betting with friends for the Derby.
But we wanted to do it this year particularly. Our friend Amy, who's coming over later, she will be bringing all of the hats, and she makes hats and sells them. She recently lost her father, and Heather and I had gone down to her father's funeral and really got a sense of who he was as a dad, and his love for cooking and his passion for all things celebration. And Heather and I were talking, just, our hearts really went out for Amy right now. I lost my mom almost 20 years ago. She was pretty much my age when she passed away. And Heather was around way back when my mom died. And one of my mom's very favorite things was to wear hats. And so Heather and I came up with this idea, and we asked Amy if she'd be willing to do it because it's kind of fresh for her.
Well, and Amy makes hats.
Yeah.
And she does an amazing job of making hats. She's actually been, she's entered, so we have a local horse show here called the Devon Horse Show. And Amy has won Ladies Hat Day at the Devon Horse Show multiple times.
Many times.
And she does a fabulous job, and she loves all things horses and racing. So we thought this would be fun.
How many times has she looped us into wearing hats?
Oh, she
and
loves
I need
it.
to give you my background on hats. I do not like them because I feel very unattractive in a hat. We've had this laugh because Heather is very different.
I love hats.
She loves hats, and it doesn't matter if it's a cowboy hat to a dressy hat to a
baseball cap.
Baseball cap. She's always wearing them. I won't even wear a baseball hat. And she's heard this story. When my mom was sick and dying, my dad had said, Ruth, your mom loves hats so much. Let's go shopping for a hat. She looks so good in them. I'm sure you do. And I said, Dad, I don't. He said, no, I'm going to take you hat shopping. So we're out shopping for hats. We spend all afternoon. At the end of the day, my dad goes, you don't look good in hats. And I said, I know. Well, and it has stuck in my, he didn't intend it, but some people look better than other people in hats. So I, for years, wouldn't touch a hat until Amy.
Yes, because she's like, we're not giving up.
We're not giving up. It might
There's
be a
hat for you.
fascinator
Yes,
or something else.
Exactly.
But she has roped me in over the years at a number of events. Actually, I think one of our very funniest stories.
I know what you're
I know, but you can go ahead and say it.
So we were asked to be extras in a filming of a production with some ladies at a lunch, and
hang on before you go any further.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and I've mixed all this. I'm going to put it in the fridge. It's going to harden. I have another one in there because this one's going to be for my kids.
Yep.
And I'll show you what we're going to do.
So the story is we were invited to this ladies' event, and we were supposed to wear a hat because it was celebration of Ladies' Hat Day. And so we went to Amy and we asked her for some hats. And Ruth got this fabulous hat. It was one of the biggest hats I've ever seen. It was really cool.
It was fabulous in theory.
It had feathers, and we hadn't really tried them on before we got to the event. And when we walked in and we were at this restaurant, and I wasn't even sure of how this hat was supposed to go on you. And so we were putting it on, and I was
the
like,
hat is stunning.
and I'm like, this doesn't feel right.
We're going to go right to the punchline. I wear this hat the entire time. We're filmed. And at the end of the thing, our friend Amy, I don't know if she saw a photo of it or if she showed up at this event.
It didn't look right, but it didn't look wrong. And so we weren't really sure what was going on. And then she goes, it was backwards the whole time.
You wore it backwards the entire time on this episode. So, and looking back at photos, the before and after, you're like, well, how did we not figure that out?
I know.
But
that's
my relationship with hats.
And you owned it for what it was.
For what it was. Okay, back to our dessert. So we take 3 cups of heavy whipping cream. You can buy it in it's in the milk section, and whip that whipping cream for about 5 to 10 minutes. You want it to become pretty solid. Can you see it? It's pretty
beautiful.
solid.
Perfect.
So it forms peaks. Now, that pudding is hardened, so I'm going to put that in this bowl, and I'm going to fold it into the whipping cream. Again, we're not going to mix it, we're just going to fold it. Now, what I did do, because we are going to make these individuals, I got some ramekins that are a little deep, and I bought mini Nilla wafers.
Minis are the key.
They're the key instead of the large ones. So we're going to start with some of this pudding mixture on the bottom. Then we're going to put Manila wafers and or Nilla wafers, and then we're going to layer it to the very top. And she's going to put some Nilla wafers, then she's going to put some bananas, and we're just going to layer it that way.
I'm just going to layer.
Oftentimes, I put this dessert in a huge trifle
That's
bowl,
pretty.
and then you can
clear,
see the layers
that's
all the
nice.
way.
That's a good idea. And then how many bananas do you want?
I would do an entire layer. And then I would top it with some Nilla wafer.
The middle layer doesn't have to be perfect because you're not really going to see it.
You're not going to see it. And the cookies all soften while it sits in the fridge. But it's a great, when you want to do an individual dessert.
All right, you're going
Oh,
faster than me.
you're really just...
Well, I'm placing the bananas.
Okay.
Because those aren't going to move too much.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure everybody has a bite when you have a bite of banana.
My great aunt used to make probably the best banana cream pie I've ever had. So any takeoff on that,
This is
I
very
always
southern.
love. Yeah,
I did not grow up having this.
you
It's
didn't.
not something in our repertoire. But we love bananas.
Yeah.
We do a lot with bananas.
I'll do this one.
Bananas are always on hand in my house, frozen for smoothies. That's how we use them most.
There you go.
Yep. And then do you want me to
Yeah,
do
I'm gonna do
another
a
layer?
few. I'm not gonna do more bananas, but I
Okay.
am gonna do just some vanilla wafers, just kind
Okay.
of tossed on the top.
Is it just decorative or do you
Just
want it
decorative,
to?
'cause it's got enough going on in there.
Yeah.
Then we will put these in the fridge, and after our lunch, we will have some of these for dessert. Okay, so our next recipe that we're going to do, because it is typical for the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, the hot brown sandwich is a Derby classic, and this was started in a hotel in Louisville called the Brown Hotel. The typical hot brown sandwich, though, is an open face sandwich.
Right.
And we're not doing the open face sandwich.
Okay.
We're doing something that's like a take on this, but easier at a party, easier to hold.
Handheld.
Handhelds, something
Okay.
someone can pick up and eat while they're walking around with their mint julep in their hand.
Perfect.
Not with a knife and fork.
Not with a knife
Yeah.
and fork.
So
Okay,
I'm sure people have done a version of this before with ham, the ham and Swiss sliders. You've seen these before. My boys love this, but this
Yeah.
is so easy. You take a package of King's Hawaiian or another type of sweet roll.
Sweet roll.
And what you do is you cut it in half. You keep it together, but then you slice it in half, which is what I've already done.
What you've done, so okay.
And so that it looks like this.
Okay.
You put the bottom in your prepared pan. Now,
Now-
I did parchment instead. You could spray your pan, but I did parchment paper instead. So when we're finished with it,
And
we
the
can,
reason why she said she can just lift
You can
out the
lift it
parchment
out.
paper and it just decreases
it's easy.
all sorts
It-
of things.
Clean up everything. So we're going to start with sprinkling some cheese. We
Okay.
have Gruyere shredded cheese
Gruyere
here.
shredded.
We're going to sprinkle some on the bottom
Okay.
layer. So perfect. Yep, that's
So you
right.
don't put any type of
Nothing
sauce
yet.
on that yet?
No,
Okay.
nothing yet.
I'll follow your instructions.
You're perfect.
Is
You're
there an
doing
amount
perfect.
that's going on this?
I think it's you could do shredded, which I have shredded, or you could do sliced. If you did sliced, I think it's like 5 or 6 ounces of sliced cheese. That's
okay.
good. So
That's
save the
good.
rest of that cheese. We're going to use some of it on the top.
Okay.
So we do our turkey slices next. So this is deli turkey, oven sliced deli turkey. This would also be a great recipe to reuse some leftover turkey breast and for Thanksgiving or for another holiday.
Yeah.
And you do kind of want to just give it a little, like you kind of want to make it a little bit layered,
So maybe
yeah,
fold it in half a little
over,
bit.
Fold it in
so
half.
it looks like it has a little life.
You got it. Fold it in half.
Doesn't
give it
look
some
like a
texture,
deli sandwich.
Make it look like, you know.
Yeah. Well, and that's why
yeah.
I think the oven roasted is good.
Exactly.
All right.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to slice up some tomatoes.
Okay.
So we are also going to do a layer of tomatoes.
Okay.
And
something like this, gosh, my son would love coming home from tennis and just grabbing this at the end of the day.
When I make a version of this for my boys,
Yeah.
it's gone.
I've had a ham one that was with like a poppy seed dressing.
Yeah, that's a classic recipe. I have seen a variety of that at
Okay.
multiple tailgates
Yes.
and parties. And so this is a good take on it if you're not a ham
Yeah. Well, and
favorite.
again, it's the Kentucky Derby, so we're
Exactly.
pretending we're in Kentucky.
That
All
looks
right.
great. That's perfect.
Oh, it all fit. How much turkey would you say this was?
It's about a pound.
It's about a pound. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're all layered.
Yep. So now we are going to do these
Bacon?
tomato slices.
Oh, tomato.
And then the bacon's going to go on top of that.
Okay.
So, while you're doing the tomato slices, I already pre-cooked some bacon. It's about 5 slices of bacon.
Okay.
I like to cut
like
it up beforehand. So I use my scissors, take my bacon slices, cut the raw bacon into my pan, cook it up that way. I don't like big slabs of bacon to bite into in your sandwich. I
Yeah.
think it's hard to chew. It's hard.
hard.
It's hard. So instead, we're going to do our crinkled bacon.
Okay.
So, bacon's
Love
next.
it. And anything with bacon?
I know. How bad can it be? Right?
No. No.
Perfect.
Now, does this have like an aioli on? Or what's
So
the...
we're going to do that next. We melted 1 stick of butter.
Okay.
And we are going to add, so This is a similar take on what you do with the ham sliders as well. It's just a little few different ingredients. So we are going to have, I'll show you, we've got Worcestershire sauce
I could
here.
use twice the bacon.
I know. So we are going to do a 1.5 teaspoons of Worcestershire into our butter.
I might have snuck a couple little nibbles
I'm
earlier,
sure
so I
you
might
did.
be out.
I know. I think, you know, a few
right.
may have left my kitchen counter before I came over too.
Okay.
So about 1.5 teaspoons.
And it's important, I think, to have either bacon crispy.
I like bacon crispy too. Okay, we're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of Tabasco. You could use any
Hot sauce.
And I'm kind of measuring here with my 1 teaspoon. You could use any hot sauce.
Okay.
But Tabasco is pretty classic. And then the other thing I do, which I know you love these too.
I love these.
So these are wonderful. I buy these at Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's sells these in the freezer section. And no, we don't get paid by Trader Joe's.
No.
But it's garlic that's already minced and it's
Yeah,
frozen,
they're
so you can
great.
pull them out at any point.
For this kind of a thing, it's really
It's
nice. If you're
easy.
gonna bake or cook it up, or
Yeah.
it's fine. So we're gonna do one of those. Give me 1 cube.
1 cube.
Yep.
They aren't frozen anymore.
I know.
So
I'm sorry. It's
fine.
been
That's
sitting
okay.
out for a minute.
Go ahead.
Okay. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna do 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard.
I'm gonna get a spoon.
Okay. I'm gonna stir this up. And then I also have some brown sugar. 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Gosh, I love
It smells.
garlic.
It still smells good.
It smells divine.
And then the other thing most people don't know is they actually have sliced onions too.
So that must be new because
This is great.
I've seen the basil.
So I'm going to do 1 of these for the onion, okay, which are a little bit bigger than the garlic.
Then the garlic.
All right, so that's all going to go in here. In this mixture, you just want to make sure this is all nicely stirred. One thing I do a little bit different is that I know traditionally a lot of times people will, with this type of a sandwich, pour all of the mustard and butter sauce on top. I like to put some
on there.
here. So I
Okay.
did bring my
Thank
brush.
you.
And you can spread some
Ooh,
of it.
I like this.
No, it's a good one. Spread some of it right there on the inside of the bread.
Yep. I love hot sandwiches.
Well, anything with melty gooey cheese and bacon and
Yeah.
it's pretty good. And then after you do that, we'll spread a little bit more of the shredded cheese on top and then flip
Fold
over
over.
the top rolls.
Okay, there you go.
Yep. So cheese on
Yep.
top.
No.
Sorry, yep, here.
Yeah, over
Yep,
here.
Yep. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing, but it might be a little
but
harder to flip it.
Yeah, that was my thought. Okay.
Perfect.
So Heather and I have been hosting events together for 25 years.
Yeah, long time.
But I don't think we've ever, I know you have people over and do the Kentucky Derby, but not,
Yeah.
we haven't done like a themed
No, we
thing
haven't done
before.
Derby party yet. So now we're going to take this and just flip it right over on top.
Okay.
Okay, now you're going to take the rest of your butter mixture and pour it over top. I know it seems weird and it seems
No,
like,
it'll be a crunchy
but
outside.
it does. That's what makes it the hot brown.
Yes.
And so we're going to make sure we get butter on all those
All of them.
rolls.
And here comes the,
Yep. Yep.
and then I'll crush them.
Yep. Perfect.
No, these are divine. I can tell already.
And then we do cover it with foil. We bake in a 375 oven for about 15, 20 minutes, depending on how much you put in there as
Yeah.
your layers. And then we'll take off the foil and bake for another at least 10 minutes until you see it getting nice and brown.
And we have one already going in the oven just because we're going to feed the kids beforehand.
Yeah.
So you'll get to see the process.
So yeah, we'll put some foil on the top. Get it nice and tight. There we go.
All right.
All right, I'll set my timer.
How long does it, oh,
So yeah, so about 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
We'll check them in 15 minutes. And then hopefully at that time we can take the foil off and let them get
the
brown.
other difference between Heather and I? She's got those timers going. And
I
I'm like,
do. I have
I'm
to
like,
say-
how does it feel? How does it look? How does it smell?
Because if I don't, I'll run off
I
and do
know,
something
I
else
know.
and forget about it.
All right, while these cook, we are going to do a pimento cheese dip,
Yum.
which we're kind of, you can either have with crackers or with vegetables. So I'm going to get prepared for that. Okay, we are down to just a couple more things we want to make today, and a number one thing, if you do research, well, maybe Southern pimento cheese.
Pimento cheese dip.
And
Or sandwiches.
Well,
Yes.
I think they can go a couple different ways.
Yes.
We've done tea parties where Heather is very good at making tea sandwiches, and one of them is a pimento.
But because we're already doing a sandwich, we
We're
decided
doing-
not to do a sandwich, and we're
Yes.
going to do a dip instead, like crackers, crudité with our cheese dip.
You start off with about a pound of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. Orange is the color that they ordinarily go with, so we did that. Don't buy the pre-shredded. That has like a wax coating on each piece, and it just doesn't work well. So you've got that. We're going to go ahead and do 2/3 of a cup.
Okay.
Here's your cup measure
in
of
here.
mayonnaise. And to that, I've already softened 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. Let me add that.
Yep. I'm going to use your spatula.
Yeah,
when
my
we're done.
kids gave me for Valentine's Day. It has a heart. All right, then we're gonna do a teaspoon of lemon. Now what I do to get a lemon ready is you kind of rub it like this. Okay, how fabulous is this knife? So I don't have great knives. And Heather, who cooks with me a lot, gave this to me for my birthday.
Well, I came over and I'm like, do you have a good knife? And you're like, no. And I'm like, oh, you need a good knife.
You need a good knife.
The best thing about when you cook with friends and you're in their house, you find all the things they need.
They need.
So you get
She
great,
had a few things
great
today.
gift ideas. I've started doing that. I make a list now of all the things I know that I want to get you.
All right, so we take a lemon and go ahead and do that. I do it through my hands. My hands are clean, just to catch the seeds.
Yeah, you could. That's a good way to do it. If you can have a press or a reamer, either way.
If you could do a teaspoon of Worcester and a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I'm taking a jar of pimentos. I'm going to open it. Oh, that was easy.
That was easy.
And I'm going to drain this. After I drain it, I'm going to pat these pimentos dry. And the reason being, well, you just don't want all that extra liquid. Got it?
Yep, go ahead. Teaspoon of your
Teaspoon
cayenne?
of both.
Okay, open that up. Yep.
All right, so I've taken the jar.
You don't even have to
I don't
slice
have to
this.
mince
No,
them. They're
already minced.
But if your pimentos are not minced,
are
you've
perfect.
got to go ahead and mince them. Now add these. We're mixing all of this ahead of before adding the cheese, just so that it's all incorporated.
They actually smell really good.
They smell really good. Thank you. And once that's incorporated, okay, and I'll just start.
Do you want it
putting this
just
in
a little bit of a time?
at a time?
Or, okay.
Go ahead. Here, I'll hold that.
We can do the whole thing. Let's get it all in there.
Okay.
Perfect.
Got that. Oh, this is so good. Now, what's fun about this is when I've made pimento cheese in the past, first of all, they can be on one of your cheese boards and you can put them into, like we're going to put them into a container like this. I've put them into small jars, and that way you can seal them afterwards and serve it again the next day. I've given this as gifts with crackers in little jars to people. So
yeah, we saw this
just a
as
fun-
like a cute idea of like your own little put together whatever you want, put your different
oh, you could add bacon,
toppings,
green onions,
capers.
Yes. That's right.
Bacon
We were
would be
looking.
good.
Bacon would be really good. But again,
We've already doing bacon.
we're doing bacon.
Okay.
All right. So here,
It's pretty.
and it is pretty. And I have all my kids coming home tomorrow. So the leftovers are going to not be wasted.
Yeah, this will get used up.
Okay. Perfect. And then you just put a little cheese knife in it, and people can eat their vegetables, their crackers, whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Pretty.
On to the next thing. We're going to finish this off with, I mean, who doesn't love a great iced tea? And ordinarily for the Kentucky Derby, they do mint juleps. So since this is the middle of the day, I decided to do a take on an iced tea, and but we'll do them in the mint
Mint julep
juleps.
cups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which will be great.
Perfect.
All right, cheers. How is it?
I'm trying one. Yeah.
How is it?
Good.
Good? Okay, we're going to do tea, but before then, I want to check on
Yeah,
how are they?
let's check the sandwiches. All right, I think. Yeah, let's take off the tops. Oh yeah, they're already
Oh
getting a
my
little
gosh,
bit-
it smells so good in here. You got it?
Yep. Oh, they're gonna be great.
My gosh. And there's like these little
right, I'm
caramelized
gonna-
onions on top.
Set my timer for
Okay.
10 minutes.
10 minutes
Perfect.
uncovered.
Okay.
Okay, because we're not doing mint juleps, we decided to do a tea. And I love varying teas. So I've made them like a strawberry rhubarb tea, but I love a good mint tea. And I realize Southern is primarily sweet tea. I don't like my tea very sweet.
I don't like a lot of sweet tea.
I don't, but I completely understand if somebody
I
else
feel
does.
like someone's getting to be
I
very
know,
upset
but I
with
know.
that.
So, but you can do whatever you want with the sweetness, and that's what I'm going to kind of walk you through. So what I've done is I have two pans that had boiling water. In each one, I put 4 cups of boiling water, and in one I put 4 black tea bags. I did decaf because I like to have this drink at night. And in the other one, I put 4 peppermint tea bags. In the meantime, so they were boiling. We let the tea bags steep. Exactly.
Yep.
I took the tea bags out. Now, I added about a half a cup of honey to one of them.
Yum.
Doesn't matter which
That's
one.
perfect.
I do that instead of sugar. It's just,
Yeah.
Anyway, I do a honey. I've also gone and bought a bunch of mint, which is great because we are going to garnish them with mint. Then I'm going to take the lemon. Again, roll the lemon because it breaks it down on the inside. It makes it much easier to squeeze. So I'm just going to cut it in half. And we are going to, if you'll go ahead and squeeze. Now, once those cool, you're going to add another probably 3 cups of water to both. We're going to combine them all together because you're going to get a little mint with the regular. And I've got a very large pitcher for this because it all has to fit.
Yeah,
You
both?
got it?
Want
Actually,
both?
put that one in this one.
Okay. So a half in each. Each bit.
Yeah, that's just because we're getting ready
Yeah.
to serve that one. We might even need another
Okay.
lemon in this one.
Yep.
I like a lemony taste. And if you like less lemon, don't put in the lemon. All right. Here we go. And this is the black tea. Again, you can do green tea.
Oh, there's so many teas
Oh my
these days.
gosh, and you can mix them. Just figure
I
out
love
what you
I
like.
love Earl Grey, one of my personal
She
favorites.
loves Earl Grey.
That's always
And
good.
I'm going to add a bunch of plain water.
You can
Again,
do lavender. There's so many things. You
so
can
many
choose.
things.
Yeah.
I'm going to add the 6 cups of water to this.
Okay.
And you've got the lemon in it. I've already got the honey in it so
Okay.
that it kind of incorporated itself. And again, oftentimes what I'll do is I'll fill this thing with ice. And when they're done steeping, I just pour it over the ice, which becomes the water
Well,
anyway.
and one of your favorite go-tos whenever we go to a restaurant is an
Arnold Palmer. And so I'll do a lemon juice. Yeah.
lemonade iced tea
Yes.
is one of your favorite things.
Yep. All right, let's mix that up.
Okay.
And what we can do is, again, add more honey if you want more honey. If you use stevia, add stevia. If you use sugar, make sure you add the sugar when the tea is still warm so it dissolves. You just don't want a bunch of sugar
Yeah,
stuck on the
that's a good
bottom
idea.
of your... And then add this here. We're going to slice up a little bit of lemon to kind of go inside. I'm going to take some mint, and I'll be putting mint on each of the julep cups later. But just stick a little bit of mint in there. Oh, that smells really good. I plant mint in planters.
Oh, mint is prolific.
Everywhere.
If you plant mint in the summer in your garden, you will have a ton of mint. by the end
Which
of
is
the
why
summer.
you have to keep it
Yeah.
consolidated. So have a great drink when you have your guests for something like this.
And we'll put it in fancy
We'll put it in
cups for lunch.
fancy
Yeah.
mint julep cups
Yeah.
so people think that they're having mint
Yes.
juleps. Okay, one last thing. When you are putting a lemon on a cup, I'm just going to show you, and maybe because I cocktail waitress through college and law school, I find that not everybody knows how to do this. Take your lemon and cut it. Do not cut it through. Cut it maybe a third through on lengthwise. That way, when you slice them, they're already ready to go on your cup. I hear Amy arriving, and Heather is going to be our model in terms of Amy describing why she would wear what hat, whether it's a fascinator or a giant hat or a small bucket hat. I'm not sure what she's
I don't know.
bringing.
We're gonna
I don't know,
see.
but you love to put them on.
We'll try.
And so, but we were going to go get dressed because
Okay.
once the rest of the girls get here, Amy's going to give them hats, and we're going to go eat lunch.
then we'll have lunch.
So, all right, let's go get a dress on.
Great.
Okay, this is the fun part of the day, and that is trying the hats on. And I want to introduce Amy. Amy has been one of Heather's and my very dearest friends for about 20 years, and she is unbelievably talented. No, not only did you go to law school, which we have that in common, but there is this creative side in her that is just unbelievable. And Amy loves, as Heather and I were saying earlier, all things costume and all things party. She parties.
Dressing up, themes.
We will be at a party where she has put on a costume and she will go for a wardrobe change
She will do up, yes.
in the middle of the party. And
Other people are in costumes, by the way.
yeah,
not just me.
I know, but you
She
love
has a
it.
good time.
She has a good time,
do
and
have
she
a good
makes
time.
everyone around her have a good time.
Oh, gosh.
And like I said, you know, and I might cry in this part, but Amy recently lost her father, and it was so fun for me to think through how to kind of honor both of our parents in a way that, you know, I'm sure your dad wouldn't be wearing one of these hats, but my mom would. And so thank you. And Amy has, over the years, she knows I don't like hats on me. And she has been so patient, and she's always bringing something. But today we've got Heather, who loves hats.
I love hats.
She loves hats. So right now, Amy is going to go ahead and explain why she does what she does with a hat, who should wear certain kinds of hats, what kind of outfits, what are the embellishments that she puts on them. And Heather is a perfect model for that.
I do want to say, everyone can agree, Ruth can wear.
Looks great.
Ruth can wear a
Especially
hat.
if I do this and we get the
Ruth-
whole look.
Ruth can wear a hat.
I know. Enough
So,
of that.
All right.
but
all right.
Heather enjoys wearing
She
them.
enjoys
So
wearing-
we'll,
all right,
we'll start
go
with
ahead.
Heather. You are wearing something very colorful, so we have a lot of options. My first thought would be what the event is. We do derby, we do derby parties, we do luncheons, there's weddings. So you really want to be cognizant of what you're going to. You don't want to wear a giant hat at a wedding where you're blocking people. Derby, sometimes really sunny. Sometimes you don't want to block people at a luncheon. I usually tend to do fascinators.
What's a fascinator? Show us.
Well, a fascinator is on a headband. So this is an example. I like to have something on the back and the front.
Ooh, look at this detail. You got a
Little feathers. We have
feathers
a lot
coming
of
out
feathers.
of this.
But I do have one thing I want to share that not everybody knows, but this is kind of a fun one. This is not a hat or a fascinator. It's called a hatinator.
A hatinator.
Because it's a hat on a headband.
Alright.
So you can kind of see how this looks.
Wow.
It's very elegant. Let's
Do I
see.
put it behind
your ears?
behind
Yep.
my ears.
That's gorgeous.
And that is a hatinator.
That is a hatinator.
It's very comfortable.
It's got to be comfortable. And it's
it's
not going to
great.
blow off your head.
It's going to keep your hair back. It feels very secure, and it's very comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't match your dress.
Doesn't.
So let's
Next.
go with something else. So one thing I like to do is this is a really nice hat, but we can embellish it with all of these silk flowers. These are all from M&S Schmalberg in New York. They have been in business since 1916, and they still hand make all of their flowers.
Wow.
They do designers such as Ralph Lauren, Mark Casa. I'm trying to think. There's so many that are just. Oh, Vera Wang. This is a flower similar to one that Vera Wang did for a wedding gown. But what I do is I work with my clients.
Yeah. Do you want me to sit, or do you want me just to do
No,
this?
this is okay.
Okay.
And we could see what we want to embellish this with. And what I usually do is I tack a flower, and then I'll wind up sewing it. So I don't really love how that one's working, but maybe a white would be really pretty.
That'd be beautiful.
Or I also have these goose feathers, which are so fun. So we could work with that. We also have these cocktail
I actually think
flowers.
that's fun.
So these are all things we would work with. And that's a lot of fun. But we could also try, that's one option.
How did you get into this, by the way?
So I have my affinity for costumes. But I actually, the Devon Horse Show Ladies Hat Day started in 1900s. And it went away for a while. And then they revived it. And I just started getting involved. I started making my own hats, and people were like, wow, you're really good at making hats.
And how many times have you won that contest?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I'm not keeping track.
I really don't.
Before I ever knew you, I knew you were the girl that won the Devon Horse Show.
I love hats. I love doing this for people. So I'm really excited about today. Another place I like to go is the Garment District in New York. And this is from a place called the Ribbon Stores. They have the most exquisite ribbons, and I work them into my designs. And this one doesn't work as quite as well.
Which one do you think?
I think I'm going this one. I think this is the winner for today. And Heather does wear.
That's
I like to wear a hat on a tilt,
Yep.
a little tilt. Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? This goes back to when I wore a hat backwards the entire show. How do you know? Because it doesn't necessarily mean where the thingy is in the back.
You know what, Ruth? I really don't think there's one way or the other. Honestly.
Oh, come on.
You can wear hat. That's.
But you knew instantly I had it on wrong.
It's where you're comfortable, because
Okay.
especially for fascinators, it's how it's going to fit your head. Like some
Okay.
people have, they're more comfortable wearing it a little down on their forehead.
Okay.
Some
I
not
like
so
it
much.
all the way down so that I can wear it like
But
that.
for example, like what a hat you're wearing.
Yeah.
The flower can be on the back, the front, the side. I mean, and the
Okay.
same
Yeah.
for this. It's
Yeah.
really how it fits you and how you feel best.
Okay.
And I would say that's the same for all of these hats, what you're most comfortable in. I don't say you should wear this. It's what you're comfortable in.
Okay.
And I think
because you
that's
want to
the
feel
biggest-
beautiful. And I think that if you're self-conscious the whole time you're wearing
It's not
a
going to
hat,
work.
it's not going to
If
work.
it's too big or you feel like it's too bird-like,
Yes.
which sometimes they look like, well, I
There's
feel that
only
way
one
sometimes.
person that could get me to wear a hat, and that is
Thank
Amy.
you.
So we have some
so
other.
fun.
I know we have some other girls joining us for the Derby luncheon, and I hear them. So if you don't mind, I'm going to pull them in
Love
here
it.
because
This is
you're
my
going
favorite
to.
part.
This is your favorite part, and you get to
everyone.
kind of like fit
Yeah.
people. So I'm going to go ahead and get them
right.
if you don't mind.
All right.
So as most of you know, I lost my mom when she was our age, and Amy recently lost her dad, and we thought it would be a wonderful way to celebrate our parents. And so I wanted to give a toast to my mom, who taught me how to love people well, and taught me how to put people above everything else. So,
Cheers. 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 To Linda.
to Linda, there you go. And she would get a kick out of this because I'm wearing a hat.
I'd like to give a toast to friendship and fun times with friends and just enjoying every moment and thinking of my dog.
Okay.
Cheers. Cheers. And cheers.
All right.